Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing a product courtesy of a company called VICTONY. What we have here is the VICTONY Q7 Sport headphones, which allows you to listen to your music wirelessly or even make phone calls. Now, before we go into my personal opinions about the product, let's go over the details of the product first. So these sport headphones utilize Bluetooth 4.1 technology, have a nano coating over them to protect the device from your sweat, and has noise cancellation technology for the microphone for when you decide to make a phone call. These headphones will work with either Android or iOS, have a standby time of about 240 hours, a charge time of about 1.5 hours, and a talk time of about 6 to 8 hours with an operating distance of supposedly 10 meters. So, now that we've got all the factual information out of the way, let's actually talk about the device itself. So what comes in this package is obviously the Bluetooth headset itself, a micro USB to USB connection which just plugs into any old USB port or charger to allow you to charge it, and a nifty little carrying case that's got a hard outer shell, but also comes with a bunch of replacement earbuds. So that way, if you lose them, you've got extras. Now, the first two things I want to talk about are probably the most important things to note about a product like this, which is the audio quality and how comfortable these are to wear. First, let's go over the one of the two that I think is probably more important than the other, which is comfortability. Now, as I say with any device that sits on your face or on your head at all, comfort is king, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to want to use it, and if you don't want to use it, then the product really isn't very useful to you. Which brings us to our first set of problems with this headset. See, although the headset has a ring that goes around your ear, it doesn't secure it to your head firmly in any particular way. It just kind of prevents it from falling down and off in general. It doesn't keep it, so that it stays in. If I were to shake my head a little bit, I can feel the earbuds have come out of the ear canal, and now it's just not going to make the sound go into my ears very well at all. And the second flaw I see with this is, unlike, a traditional pair of cheap wired headphones that you get nowadays, the cheap pairs of headphones have like a little suction kind of mechanism to it when you put it in your ear to keep it in. And that's why you generally don't need this little ring around your ear anymore. These provide absolutely no sort of suction kind of mechanism, so it doesn't help any. And on top of that, if you look at the shape of this bulging piece of plastic coming out of it, it's not really designed like the way your ear is. So it sits there, and that piece of plastic, it's really uncomfortable on your ear. So in order to get this to the point where you can hear sound really well through it, it has to be pressing on your face. And when you do that, or the side of your head, and when you do that, that piece of plastic is jutting on parts of your ear here that it doesn't really conform to, making it relatively, if not completely uncomfortable after more than half an hour of use. Which is not good, because if this is supposed to be a product geared towards people who are active, most people are more active for more than just a half an hour. Now, I have been testing this headset for a number of days with multiple hours of use each time, because I wanted to be absolutely sure that that's what was going on, and maybe it just wasn't me adjusting to the headphones. So after about day 3, I finally decided that I couldn't wear these anymore because they were just creating too much uncomfortable pain on my ear. So as far as comfortability goes, they don't really do much in that department. Now, obviously everyone's head is a little different, but I think the complaint should be relatively universal given just the basic design of the product. So now that we've gone over how comfortable it is, let's go over how good the quality of the music is, because after all, that's their primary function. Now let's talk about audio quality. This equation really consists of two parts. There's the audio file in which you are trying to play, and the device in question that is trying to reproduce the audio from that file. If you don't start with a good quality audio file to begin with, no amount of tinkering or quality from the reproduction of said audio is going to make it sound good. So what I did is I got my Spotify app set to download all audio files when I'm streaming music to the extreme setting to try and get as close to lossless as I could get. Second, I am using a ZTE Axon 7, which is a hi-fi smartphone with Dolby Atmos, to make sure I can get the best quality sound I can get. And of course, we have the parts of reproducing the audio played by this VICTONY headset. Here's what I had found over my testing of several days of tinkering with this particular headset. When playing audio, even on extreme settings for Spotify, the audio didn't sound anything more than just average. Well, lucky for me, my phone is a hi-fi phone and comes with features like Dolby Atmos, but I found myself consistently going into the EQ settings to adjust them manually in order to get that really good reproduction of sound that we're really kind of expecting from audio reproducing devices like headphones and speakers nowadays. So even a $20 pair of headphones should do a decent job at reproducing audio, but the fact that I had to go into these settings and tinker with them at all, whereas with many other headphones that I've used in the past, I didn't have to bother doing that, leads me to question whether it's just design or if it's the actual hardware itself of this device that's preventing me from getting superb audio when just listening to music. If you're running around trying to get some exercise, I can't imagine going in and changing the EQ settings for all your different songs manually as they come along. That just doesn't seem very realistic. So the fact of the matter is, yes, I could get some good quality audio out of this, but only because I have Dolby Atmos. If you have a phone that doesn't have similar capabilities, you might find that the audio really isn't that impressive. Moving on to the last portion of this set is the ability that you have to make calls off of this. Now, both earphones look the same, but they're not physically the same. This one is just a plastic piece on this red spot. Well, this part here is an actual button. Now, you would hold this button to turn it on, and once it's turned on, it would connect to your phone if you haven't already paired it. In order to pair it, you just hold it for even longer. You'll see a light flashing red and blue right here, and then you'll know it's in pairing mode, and you search for it with your smartphone and connect that way. Then the pairing is done. Now, because it is Bluetooth 4.1, if you have a Bluetooth 4.0 or higher smartphone or other device that you're using to send audio to this, it should connect pretty quick, from the time you turn it on to the time it actually makes the paired connection with your device. So, the audio quality for the microphone, that's the big question here. Now, this set does come with noise cancellation technology, and I have used it for several phone calls, specifically to see how the quality is. The people on the other end of the call didn't have any complaints about it, which is nice. So as far as I can tell, using this as a pair of headphones to make a phone call, the party on the other end isn't going to have a problem, and it seems to do a decent job at that. And noise cancellation is important in this case because if you are outside running around or in a gym environment where there's a lot of noise, you're going to want to make sure that the person on the other end isn't hearing all the random noises around you. But that being said, one thing to note is noise cancellation technology isn't perfect. It takes essentially a sample recording of what is going on around you, analyzes it, filters out what would be a constant noise, and tries to focus in on your voice, and then sends out that edited recording kind of all in real time. So it's not a perfect system, but for most cases it seems to work quite well. Now, there are a few other things that this can do. You can raise and lower the volume up here. You can answer the phone call by pressing the button right here if you've got a phone call coming in, or if you want to make a phone call going out, you can hold the button down and you'll hear an audible instruction asking you who you want to call. In which case, you would say the name of the person in your contacts, and hopefully it recognizes things properly and calls the right person. The last thing really to go over is the charging. Now, it doesn't come with a charger, but nowadays you can't really expect a lot of devices to do so when USB ports are everywhere. Now, the USB charging is micro USB, and it comes out from right here. And there we go. It does, however, come with the cable, and if you plug it into any USB port that has power going to it, whether it's your computer or a cheap little standalone USB power adapter for your AC power, AC-DC converter, it'll charge that way as well. Now, there is one last thing actually I need to talk about, which is the distance in which these headphones can transmit and receive data. So I'm surprised I didn't catch myself on this one earlier. Now, it advertises that these headphones can go up to 10 meters in distance from the device, but I find that if I keep my cell phone in my pocket, which is well within that 10-meter range, it's within 1 meter, I get some slight disconnection kind of sound issues. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to explain here. It's weird. The phone's connection will remain constant, but the audio will suddenly disappear and just drop out altogether for a fraction of a second, then come back online, which is indicative of a bad connection, because I feel that these work on a digital sort of signal, which means, compared to analog, quite simply, it's an all or nothing system. If it doesn't receive all the data, it just can't accept anything and do anything with it, and that's when you get the dropped out sound. Whereas with an analog system, like on your radios in your car, if you get a low signal, you get some data coming through and it sounds grainy and whatnot. Digital audio simply just doesn't work like that. You may notice that kind of situation if you've ever had a bad connection on Skype or a video chat sort of program before. It's either all the data comes through or none. But yes, I find myself having a problem with that as well, which leaves me with my conclusion. What do I think of the device as a whole? Not great. Realistically, these are just not good at all. I would honestly do more research and find a different pair of headphones that have a better reputation, a better design, one that doesn't have this clunky black piece of plastic that doesn't really conform to your ear in any particular way. One that creates a slight vacuum to keep it in your ear, and if it's got one of these little rings that go around your ear, make sure it's one that actually fits around your ear and feels comfortable and kind of a little snug, one that's going to make it feel like it's going to stay in. And, audio quality is important. It's Bluetooth 4.1. It shouldn't have any problem carrying audio. and it shouldn't have a problem with the distance that it has to work with what that I've been using it for. All in all, get something else. This one just really doesn't work that great. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helped. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends. Check out my other videos. I got plenty of them. If you're watching this video on Amazon, just know there is a version of this video on YouTube in high definition if you want to see a higher quality version of this review.